I'm sorry. Why does he have a bro voice?
Apothecary, wait. There's somewhere I must go, and I will need you at hand.
Where, sire?
Away to the Shrine of Choosing.
Apothecary. Ah ha ha ha. Hello everybody, my name is Brooklyn, otherwise known as TheDramaticOtaku, and welcome to the start of a new series, in which I give you my raw thoughts of series my friends have recommended me. I would like to call this, reviewing recommendations, and this isn't just for friends, this will be recommendations I've got from you guys as well. Obviously, this is also an offshoot of the Weeb Wrap-Up, as most of these series will have already been properly reviewed in the Weeb Wrap-Up if I had time and energy to do it. But today on the agenda, I have two of my friends have given me one recommendation each, thus it is time to review them. Starting off with the first recommendation from my favourite Mia Frisch, the only Mia Frisch, recommending me Higurashi. Let's just jump into it. Okay. So Higurashi. So to understand Umineko, I have to give you a slight rundown on Higurashi. We're gonna start with Higurashi when they cry. Now, first of all, I'm gonna show you some of the clips of me reacting to Higurashi that I sent Mia, because what the ever-loving fuck did this woman get me to watch? Does she have a gun? I missed her on screen, but why does Mion always have a gun? What in the ever-loving fuck am I watching right now? So I was very, very confused about Higurashi when they cry. Pretty much, there's this town called Hinamizawa. It is basically a Deathloop anime. Hinamizawa is a small town in the countryside, and in Hinamizawa they have a festival called the Cotton Drifting Festival. In this festival, usually, not as a part of the tradition, but usually as a part of a curse from this deity that they are trying to appease, one person dies and one person usually goes missing. In the series itself, there is it's not a death game, but a death loop going on. And it centers around these kids, Keiichi, who is pretty much the main character, Rena, Mion, Rika, and Satoko. The note I have for Rika is that she is the shrine maiden of the, of the shrine of this deity of Hinamizawa, and essentially is a mouthpiece for that deity. In terms of what happens in the series, she's able to predict the deaths that will occur in this series, and that is because it is a death loop. In layman's terms, I liked this series. I did not necessarily like the sexualization of the young female characters, even if it was minor. Still did not like it, didn't appreciate it. It happens mainly in the art, not in the actual plot point in the series itself. It's more so what characters wear, how they're presented, that sort of stuff. Anytime a character is in a slip dress or something similar, I don't like it. Or in a nightgown, anything like that, hate it, hate it, hate it. That being said, I do actually really, really like the series because of the psychological horror aspects. And I had to understand this to understand Umineko. At the very end of the series, I understood it because it apparently has the same, structure as Umineko, from my understanding, because I haven't read or played the game Umineko yet, which is what Mia wants me to do instead of watching the anime. She said, absolutely do not watch the anime. So I'm gonna assume it's like the Corpse Party thing, where Corpse Party the game is really good, but I would not recommend Corpse Party the anime with a 10-foot pole. So, what do I think about this recommendation from Mia? Well, I really love Higurashi. Could you tell? Big surprise, I know. But I thought it was a really fun series. Fun in the fact that I like horror, I like mystery, as I'm finding out. And even though Mia only recommended Higurashi to me so I could understand Umineko later, I actually really ended up liking this series a lot. Will I read the visual novel? No. I'm reading Umineko. I'm only partway through episode 2. I'm already nearly 40 hours into this game. No, I will not be reading the Higurashi visual novel. Absolutely not. Now, given the purpose of the recommendation being to understand a different series, do I think it's a good recommendation for me personally? Yes, I love horror. It was a perfect recommendation. So I gave Higurashi a 7 out of 10. There was things in the art style that I just couldn't escape. But the actual plotline and story I really liked. I thought it was really interesting. And so I gave it a 7 out of 10. I found it really, really engaging. And I loved it a lot. So it was a great recommendation from the Mia Frisch. So next we move into the recommendation from the fan from Down Under, Miss Leisha Weish. This being The Apothecary Diaries Season 1 and 2. Empreg Jinshi. I don't remember the context for that. I just know that Mia said it and Leisha said I should have it in this video. Apothecary Diaries. For me, it's just the year of watching like just peak anime from the last 5. What did I think? I'm in the middle of watching season 2. I started season 2 with Mia and Leisha. We were watching it together at Mia's house. I have started season 2 and I'm very interested in season 2, but season 1, what did I think of it? I really liked it. YouTube spoiled a lot of the last episode of Apothecary Diaries for me and it was really annoying. Now, the emotion behind the last episode wasn't quite there in the YouTube short, so I still did nearly cry in the last episode. But I liked Apothecary Diaries way more than I thought I would. It's the same as like with Frieren, where I liked Frieren way more than I thought I would. I couldn't get over that Jinchi was like supposed to be a similar age to Mao Mao, but also could completely understand it at the same time. The plot and story-wise of Apothecary Diaries, I really like the mystery aspect, but I do want to get into romance aspects of Apothecary Diaries, which is apparently at the end of season 2. That being said, I'm basically saying I went into Apothecary Diaries season 1 knowing most about the last episode, so I knew a pretty big plot point, whereas season 2 I'm going in mostly blind, and thus Empreg Jinshi came to be. I still don't understand how it came to be, but it's here now. I do just like Mao Mao. Mao Mao reminds me scarily of Leisha, who recommended the series to me. So yeah, that's interesting. I can't really think of anything else regarding Apothecary Diaries other than the fact that like it's a mystery anime where death goes on and then you have to figure out what happens and this, that, and third. There are some plot points where it's like really easy to guess what happens. Like it's at the start of season 2. It's the moon fairy. I instantly guessed that it was the courtesan house mistress. I knew it was her. That was the moonlit fairy. And I thought that was really, really funny because I looked over to Leisha and went, "Is it her?" And Leisha had to hide her face because she couldn't. She was like, "How the fuck did you guess that?" So I thought that was really funny. But yeah, so Apothecary Diaries is kind of like easy to read what's going to happen, but that doesn't make it any less enjoyable. So yeah, that is season 1. Now let's get into season 2.
So, season 2. So, I was really going into it blind, and so every little like twist and turn and all that sort of stuff I wasn't expecting. And I really love that this series does not have any traditional filler episodes. Any episode that can be considered filler has a reason. And I love that. I really, really love that. I really love how it all connects in the final 2 to 5 episodes. I will say a couple of things, which are massive spoilers. For one, the amount of fan service in this specific season. Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me. Because what was Jinchi doing in the last 2 episodes? Why does Mao Mao call Jinchi's dick Jinchi's frog? I know why, but need to recover. I need to recover. Then, I want to say, once again, last 2 episodes made me cry. Of course, I cried. Also, I will say, I'm gonna go between calling her Je suis and Je suis, because the dub made it sound like they were saying Je suis the entire time. And maybe they were, but when I kept, like, mispronouncing Je sui's name to Leisha, because Leisha watched the sub, I watched the dub, she's like, why are you saying Je suis? It's Je suis? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're saying Je suis the entire time. Forgive that I watched the English dub, which I will say, there were a couple of really, really funny moments in the English dub. I will say I was very, very upset to see that we don't get to see Lady Gyoko give birth. That was such an Australian way of saying her name. But, like, I mean that in the fact that, like, we have been there for Lady Gyoko the entire time, and we don't get to see the joy of a new child entering the Rear Palace. We got to see the first one be born, quite literally, in the very, like, first episode, and you can't do that for the second kid. Very sad. But yeah, I don't know if I liked season 2 more. I think the reason I would is because, as I said, I went into this season blind, whereas in the first season I knew the last episode pretty much verbatim, solely because of YouTube and YouTube Shorts and TikTok, which I now am really annoyed at those kinds of reels, because it's like you just gave away the entire end of this season. I have much confliction. I really loved The Apothecary Diaries.
As you can tell, I really like The Apothecary Diaries. And just to actually tie it to Higurashi, Mia and Leisha accidentally recommended me 2 very similar series in terms of 2 series that are very mystery coded, but have, like, different, I guess, genres. And I mention this because, like, the thing that I like about both series is the structure of how they reveal things and how things all tie together in both Higurashi and The Apothecary Diaries. The Apothecary Diaries is way more blatant about it, where you, like, technically in Higurashi there are no filler episodes either, because it all ties into the story, but there are 2, like, separate arcs, the question arcs and the answer arcs, whereas The Apothecary Diaries, it's all of the arcs lead into the big final arc at the end of the season. It builds to a grand finale. That's what I mean. Whereas Higurashi, it's like builds to this plot point, and then in the answers arcs, it, like, explains that plot point and finishes off the plot point at the same time. So that's what I find interesting about Higurashi versus The Apothecary Diaries. But I really love how silly it is. I love how, like, fun the character is. In my actual weeb wrap-up, I mentioned that Frieren and Mao Mao are very similar character types, and I really liked Frieren, so that is my recommendation to you guys. If you like The Apothecary Diaries, I reckon you'll like Frieren. More so, if you like Mao Mao, you will like Frieren's character type, because Mao Mao, while I think she's fun and all that, the scenarios that she's put in is absolutely ridiculous, and it's so much fun. And, like, I really love how she appears apathetic and very logical, but she deeply cares about the people around her. And I also love how dumb Jinchi is, how he is just an idiot. But that's the thing I love about The Apothecary Diaries, is the characters, as well as the plot structure. But I just can't get over the second season, because much like Higurashi, I really love the second season to a degree more, where Higurashi I can't really discern whether I like the second or first season more. There are just things I prefer in the second season versus the first season. The second season of Apothecary Diaries stands out to me by far because you made me care about a character that I really didn't find all that interesting in the first half of the season. And technically it's like two characters that become one, that have been one the entire time, but also weren't. Yeah. To say I'm conflicted is an understatement. But what I ended up giving the Apothecary Diaries was an 8 out of 10 compared to Higurashi's 7 out of 10. Again, the main things that I disliked in Higurashi was art style wise, with some pretty uncomfortable moments, something that I've brought up quite a bit. Whereas Apothecary Diaries, you don't really get that problem, and the fan service you do get, you just want more. You just want more. I want to see Jinchi and Memo kiss. I am the granny in the last episode. Did Leisha give me a good recommendation? Yes. Now, that's not to say, because I gave Apothecary Diaries an 8 out of 10, that I like the Apothecary Diaries more. I would actually argue that I like Higurashi more, but that is probably because I like horror more than I do like mystery, because Apothecary Diaries is definitely mystery oriented instead of being romance oriented, which is what sort of the genre or the other genre is of the series. Whereas Higurashi, it is mystery horror, and it is mostly horror. That's not to say it was a competition at all. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, even though it was a little bit messy. This is my first time doing one of these videos. Next time I will possibly be reviewing your recommendations. I know Clannad and Madoka Magica have been recommended to me from you guys. Maybe I'll pit those two up against each other and see if they were good recommendations or if they were bad recommendations for me. And this is my personal opinion. These are recommendations specifically for me, so I can give them to you. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.